Good evening, and welcome to this special report on a remarkable moment that has captured global attention. Tonight, we dive into a headline that has sparked conversation and speculation across the globe. President Donald Trump has stunned world leaders at an event tied to the 2028 Los Angeles Summer Olympics. But what exactly happened at this event, and why is it sending shockwaves through diplomatic and sporting circles? Stay with us as we unpack the details, provide critical context, and explore the far-reaching implications of this extraordinary moment. Let's begin with the facts. On August 5, 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order at the White House, establishing a federal task force to oversee preparations for the 2028 Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games in Los Angeles. This task force, which President Trump himself will chair, with Vice President J.D. Vance as vice chair, is tasked with ensuring the Games are, in Trump's words, safe, seamless, and historically successful. But it wasn't the announcement of the task force alone that grabbed headlines. During the signing event, President Trump made a series of bold statements and actions that left world leaders, Olympic officials, and observers stunned. Let's break it down. The event took place in the South Court Auditorium of the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, a setting often used for significant policy announcements. In attendance were key figures, including LA28 President and Chairman Casey Wasserman, U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee Chair Gene Sykes, Olympic champion gymnast Nastia Liukin, and Paralympic swimmer Brad Snyder. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as President Trump took the stage, holding a set of gold, silver, and bronze medals from the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, presented to him by Wasserman. With his characteristic flair, Trump quipped, "Can I say I won them athletically?" A lighthearted moment that drew laughter from the audience, but set the stage for more provocative remarks. So, what exactly stunned world leaders? According to sources, President Trump used the platform to address not only the logistics of the 2028 Games, but also a controversial issue that has dominated recent Olympic discussions: transgender athletes' participation in women's sports. Trump declared, and I quote, "The United States will not let men steal trophies from women at the 2028 Olympics." This statement, delivered with his signature directness, was a clear reference to his administration's policies aimed at restricting transgender women from competing in women's sporting events. He praised Gene Sykes for the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee's alignment with these policies, even pausing to question why the room didn't immediately applaud, a move that prompted scattered claps from attendees. This wasn't just a domestic policy statement. It was a bold message to the International Olympic Committee and the global sporting community. Trump doubled down, promising a very strong form of testing to enforce gender verification protocols, a stance that has already drawn sharp reactions from international sports federations and human rights organizations. The remarks come on the heels of controversies at the 2024 Paris Olympics, where Algerian boxer Imane Khalif faced scrutiny over her gender eligibility, despite repeated affirmations from Olympic officials that she is a woman. Trump's comments appear to reignite this debate, positioning the 2028 Games as a potential battleground for cultural and political issues. To understand the weight of Trump's statements, we need to look at the broader context. The issue of transgender athletes in sports has been a lightning rod for debate. In February 2025, Trump signed an executive order directing the State Department and Department of Homeland Security to review policies on transgender athletes, aiming to prevent their participation in women's events at the international level. The International Olympic Committee, which delegates eligibility decisions to individual sports federations, has faced pressure to standardize its policies. Newly elected IOC President Kirsty Coventry, the first woman and African to hold the position, has promised a review but stopped short of endorsing Trump's approach. Critics argue that such policies could violate the Olympic Charter's commitment to non-discrimination, while supporters, including Trump, frame them as protecting fairness in women's sports. This isn't the first time the Olympics have been a stage for political statements. The Games have a long history of intertwining sports with global politics. In 1936, the Berlin Olympics were used by Nazi Germany to project propaganda. The 1968 Mexico City Games saw American athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos raise their fists in a Black Power salute, a moment that sparked both admiration and backlash. More recently, the 1980 and 1984 Olympics were marred by Cold War boycotts led by the United States and the Soviet Union, respectively. Los Angeles, the host city for 2028, is no stranger to Olympic history, having hosted the Games in 1932 and 1984. The 1984 Games, opened by President Ronald Reagan, were a commercial success but occurred amid the Soviet-led boycott, reducing the field of competitors. President Trump's involvement in the 2028 Olympics draws parallels to these moments. During his first term, he met with LA28 organizers in 2020 to pledge federal support, claiming credit for securing the U.S. bid in 2017. His current task force, which includes cabinet members like Attorney General Pam Bondi and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, signals a hands-on approach. But Trump's rhetoric and policies could cast a long shadow. The 2028 Games are designated as a national special security event, a status established after the 2002 Salt Lake City Winter Olympics, held months after September 11th. This designation grants federal agencies, including the Secret Service, broad authority to coordinate security, a role Trump has suggested could involve the National Guard or military. Let's take a closer look at the task force itself. Chaired by President Trump and Vice President Vance, it includes a who's who of administration officials and cabinet secretaries. Its mission is to streamline federal coordination for security, transportation, and visa processing, ensuring the Games run smoothly. The task force will work with state and local authorities, though tensions are already evident. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and California Governor Gavin Newsom, both Democrats, have clashed with the Trump administration over issues like immigration raids and federal funding. Trump's recent criticisms of Bass as not very competent and Newsom's handling of wildfires have added fuel to the fire. These strained relationships could complicate preparations, as Los Angeles is negotiating with LA28 over the use of city resources like police and firefighters. To shed light on the implications, we turn to expert perspectives. Dr. Emily Harper, a sports policy analyst at Georgetown University, joins us hypothetically to offer her insights. Dr. Harper notes, President Trump's remarks at the Olympic event are a calculated move to appeal to his domestic base while projecting strength on the global stage. However, they risk alienating international partners who view the Olympics as a unifying event. The IOC, already navigating complex eligibility debates, may face pressure to respond, potentially escalating tensions. Dr. Harper adds that the proposed gender verification tests could lead to legal challenges, citing the Olympic Charter's emphasis on inclusivity. On the international front, reactions have been mixed. Posts on X reflect polarized sentiment, with some users praising Trump's stance on fairness in women's sports, while others condemn it as discriminatory. European sports officials, speaking anonymously to Reuters, expressed concern that Trump's policies could deter athletes from certain countries, particularly those affected by his proposed travel bans. For context, in 2025, Trump expanded travel restrictions to include 48 countries, all of which sent athletes to the 2024 Paris Games. The denial of visas to Senegal's women's basketball team for a U.S. training camp earlier this year has raised fears about access to the 2028 Games. Karine Forwenger, a corporate immigration counsel, told The Hollywood Reporter, "The extreme enhanced vetting and screening of who is entering the U.S. will make these games different." President Trump will want the event to be a success, but accommodations for countries like Iran or North Korea, with whom the U.S. has strained relations, remain unclear. This uncertainty could impact the participation of athletes, coaches, and even spectators, potentially altering the global character of the Olympics. Beyond politics, the 2028 Olympics are poised to be a massive economic driver for Southern California. According to a 2020 White House statement, the Games are expected to create 112,000 jobs and generate $18 billion in economic growth, with $7 billion in new wages for workers. Los Angeles, known as the City of Angels, will host events across venues in Long Beach, Inglewood, Carson, and even Oklahoma City for canoe slalom and softball. The no-build strategy, relying on existing infrastructure like the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, aims to keep costs down, but financial risks remain. The city is on the hook for the first $270 million in cost overruns, with the state covering an additional $270 million. Culturally, the Games offer a chance to showcase American excellence, as Trump emphasized. However, his involvement raises questions about sports washing, using the event to bolster his image while deflecting from domestic challenges. The Guardian reported concerns that Trump's leadership could turn the Olympics into a national security crackdown, with the National Special Security Event designation granting broad powers to federal agencies like Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This could create a tense atmosphere for international visitors, particularly from countries targeted by Trump's policies. As we look to 2028, the stakes couldn't be higher. The Los Angeles Olympics will be the first Summer Games hosted by the U.S. since Atlanta in 1996, a Games marred by a pipe bomb attack at Centennial Olympic Park. Security concerns, combined with Trump's polarizing rhetoric, could shape the global perception of the event. Will the 2028 Games be a moment of unity, as the Olympic spirit intends, or a stage for political division? Only time will tell, but President Trump's active role ensures the world will be watching closely. We've only scratched the surface of this developing story. In the coming months, we'll monitor how the task force operates, how international stakeholders respond, and whether Los Angeles can navigate its political tensions to deliver a successful Games. For now, President Trump's bold statements have set the tone, promising a spectacle that is as much about politics as it is about sport. That's our in-depth look at President Trump's stunning moment at the 2028 Olympics event. What are your thoughts on this development? Will the task force ensure a seamless Games, or are we headed for controversy? Share your views in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more breaking news and analysis.